Sending data, online, sending data. We are now streaming.
All right, welcome everybody to the 2021 Boston Poetry Marathon, Saturday, August 7th, the 7 p.m. gang. I want to first of all thank the technical host, Suzanne Mercury, who along with Bridget Eileen and Christina Liu and Christine Strong have been doing a super amazing job of putting this together. I think we have almost over 150, is that right, Suzanne? 150 poets reading. So quite wonderful lineup. And so the readers for this particular hour are David Kirschenbaum, Cynthia Barger, Cheryl Clark Vermeulen, Jean-Denis Joachim, Jenny Grassel, Jim Dunn, Martha McCullough, Philip Hosouris, Shira Dentz. Shira is actually the last. Unfortunately, Chad Parento is stuck in a plane and can't make it, which is too bad because he's been a very wonderful part of these marathons for a long time. Philip Hosouris and Jean-Denis Joachim have not arrived yet, but hopefully they will be here. So every reader gets to read for 5 minutes. I will call your name. Please unmute yourself. Everybody should mute yourself now if you're not already muted. I will call your name. You read for 5 minutes. I'm going to time you. I'll give you in the chat a 1 minute warning. And if you go over 5 minutes and it looks like you're going to be going on for another minute, I'm going to have to interrupt you. So don't make me do it. For those of you who are watching live stream or the recording that's on YouTube, also on Facebook, and also on Twitter, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the program. The Boston Poetry Marathon is a fundraiser as well as a poetry event. And this year, the beneficiaries of the fundraising include, let's see here, I have got to pull this up. Okay, so this year, fundraising will be for the Urban League of Eastern Massachusetts, Sister Fire, Rhode Island, and the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center. We want to support these local organizations that fight against racial injustice in support of Black Lives Matter and the AAPI community, the Stop Asia Hate movement. Learn more about the 3 local organizations and donate at our GoFundMe page, which is https://www.gofundme.com/f/Boston-Poetry-Marathon-2021-fundraiser, which I'm sure you won't remember, but you could probably go to GoFundMe and type in Boston Poetry Marathon 2021, and that would suffice. Anyway, there are probably lots of other things for me to say, but I have not been able to find my script, so I am winging it. But anyway, I think, Suzanne, is there anything I'm forgetting here?
I don't think so. I think that we should just plunge into the reading. I'm going to go to speaker view right now, and we'll just introduce the first reader. Got your timer,
Okay.
Tom?
I have my timer. Yes, I do. Okay, so
go to speaker view now.
David Kirschenbaum, make sure you're unmuted, and you go ahead and start. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to say that I'm going to time you starting from the minute you start talking. So if you have an introduction, that's going to be included. So just keep that in mind. Go ahead, David Kirschenbaum.
Hey, everybody. So I'm going to read a bunch of stuff that I'm writing about my 1992. In the spring of 1992, I met Katie Yates. She was pursuing her PhD while living in the poet Professor Judith Johnson's house on Washington Park in Albany. She was equal parts kind and talented, confident, bordering at times on snarky, like in a calling you out sort of way. She was prolific, she was strong, she was beautiful. She was in a poetry band, and she knew what a micropress was. She started working with me on Boog. We would talk about something at night, and the next day, when I would go to drive the kids I was nannying to school and to their sitters, there in the mailbox would be another beautiful piece of art from Katie with her short handwriting, not shorthand, mind you, but small letters that looked as though they were reproduced by computer keys, not strokes from Katie's hand. Once she told me my own poem's lines were being dictated by the 4¼ inch width of Boog's chapbooks, said I should tape 2 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper lengthwise and write. So when I returned to the Clark's house that afternoon, that's what I did. After writing a line or two, the husband who'd started going to poetry readings with me sometimes asked what I was doing, and I told him. He disappeared for a moment and then returned. Here, try this, he said, tossing me a roll of toilet paper. I headed to my attic room, emerging an hour or so later with one long magic markered toilet paper line that I would type up as the one huge text block and share soon after with Katie. When Katie told me how the summer before she had been Ann Waldman's teaching assistant at Naropa, that was the final push. That summer of 1992, I was finally going to make studying at Naropa a reality. My first night in the White Revival tent pitched in Naropa's backyard during the summer writing program orientation that June of 1992. I made my first 3 Naropa friends, the in from Detroit Guy Frost and Miriam Jones, and Oakland's Train DeBoer, who was visiting his grandma, Bobby Louise Hawkins, who I would soon learn how kind and matter-of-fact she was. The key takeaway from this orientation, to stay ahead of the altitude and the heat, always drink water, always. A few weeks later, I read at Naropa for the first time. One night in that very same tent as part of the summer's first student reading, Bobby Louise pulled me aside after I read, saying to then long-haired, bearded me, who also had a bit of a gut, saying real earnestly, "You remind me of a young Ted Berrigan." And I knew that saying that really meant something to her because Bobby was not one for false kindnesses. So I thanked her profusely and then pulled back to my friends. Hey, who's Ted Berrigan? Thanks.
David, thank you so much. We were at the creation at Naropa, which is, something that I'm sure a lot of people would have been very interested in. Okay, up next is Cynthia Barger. Make sure you've unmuted and go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I'm going to read 7 sections from a long poem called Creative Nonfiction. 1. You, who is the I, are the patient. You and your brother stand in the back of the ambulance. No stretcher, no straps this gray February day. No sirens, no careening down Storrow Drive or up the Jamaica Way. Your brother pleads, why are you acting like this? It's not funny. He walks in the door of the mental hospital with you. Your father is there, pacing, does not look at you. You offer him a wallet-sized photo of the Swami, your guru. Hope it will calm him down. He says, sign the yellow form, make it voluntary. You sign. Despite the shot in the emergency room at the regular hospital, you are still high. They lock you in a ward. You have nothing, no book, no hairbrush, no glasses, no keys. This place is locked up tight. Alarms blare and blink when you try to open the door. Someone always watches, always sees. This is not sad for you. You are the one who laughs, the only one, an adventure, like an acid trip. You have no key. Key is not a metaphor. 2, the other Cynthia, the she who is not I, visits, vapor. The she is vapor, faceless funnel. The she vanishes. 3, the she who is not the I haunts and blesses. The I is driftwood covered with barnacles, as is the she. The she is organza, drenched, illuminated, as is the I. Who knows this? Is the haunting a fact? Is the blessing a truth? The she appears to be sleeping. The I is sleeping. The she is gone. Is this what truth is? Always an echo? Not twins, because the I is a body. The she is vapor. There are no vapor body twins. How do you know this? On the recording, your brother asks your mother, who says, my in-laws had lost their daughter. We named our daughter after her. My in-laws, shh, shh. My in-laws, shh, 4. Upon release, the I who is me is a body whose long hair smells like the mental hospital dumbwaiter. I get a buzz cut from a friend. My cousin asks, did they buzz your hair off in that place? Disbelieves me when I claim it's a fashion choice. Lithium makes the body grow fat. I am round and shorn and will stay like that for years. Eat cookies all day long, M&Ms every color, pair alcohol and lithium and puke out the car window. Soon will renounce Jack Daniels, drive vermouth, later lithium. Mine is a body in revolt. It asks forgiveness, remembers vapor, misses vapor. 5, cookies. On the recording, your mother said she didn't want you eating cookies all day long. All day long? Did the I eat them all day long? You know you did. Is it too bad your brother didn't ask your father? Your father would not have answered. Your father locked the dead she away, would have said, you don't need to know. Stop asking questions, too many questions. You know your father, or do you? The details and the pictures come later. 6, maybe one picture, Sylvia Plath on Winthrop Beach, sunbathing on the rocks, right where you see the she sunbathing on her last day. You look at the picture of Sylvia Plath in a book. You see the picture of the she in your mind. You know everything, or think you do, about Sylvia Plath. You know nothing about the she who is the I. Or maybe it's the other way around, because blessing, haunting. In the last section, 7, look, the first spring robin lights upon the rusted monkey sculpture. Look, crocuses cluster purple in the sandy ditch by my back door. If you, the she who is not the I, are traveling through, give me a sign. Be the fox that slinks across my lawn. Rustle the vinca on the knoll. Tie a ribbon on the rusted monkey's prehensile tail, or frolic with the hatchlings in the birdhouse among lint and twigs before you emerge, covered in nursery dust, to tell me our story. Thank you.
She is organza drenched, illuminated. Did I get that right?
I think so.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Jean-Denis Joachim was the next poet up, but he unfortunately has not arrived yet. Hopefully he'll get here before we end the hour. So Jenny Grassel is up next. Remember to unmute yourself, Jenny.
Thank you, Tom and Suzanne, and all the organizers and poets and watchers and listeners. Glad to be here. The first poem is called Hem of Fire. You ran from lava licks. The women saved you, bits of tulle and lawn, clippings from their pots, moss and talk to grow your gown. How you were bride, wife, mother, swore years of velvet sage and common sooty wing of a dragged butterfly. They let you go when their apples filled with wasps. You landing in vines and looped loves, naked in your name, fumbling with veils, nailing the immortal weeds and lace of last frost to the hourglass. Couldn't they command more? Hiding the fallen. I keep a myopia. Lake eye caved in fell and bone. Have I seen too much of farther? Where are the birds folding wing in and in to warm the mirrored eye view, convex of the heart? In this freeze, this falter of September, and migration's dragged muses, all of summer losing its hair. Out of skylife into after, for the journey weak. Autumn comes so ochre and gold, sham of sun only covers the more permanent dark of our time with the dead. Mushroom souls fed on what is left after a shooting Star has spoken of God, then departed with all the glitter, chlorophyll, and carpe diem. No bleat, no plea, the bleeding deer hides how far it went down, what earth received its struggle. Dear survivor, I am beached at the tide of wild daisy and phonic stick of the corn spider, day drawn faster and grass step steep in the blue-eye hills, cresting clue, just a dayflower dwarf in the blur vast view, by one heart ingress of loose strife, laced with a century, hence deep and yours my air, once cradled, rocking out of the dawn from where I came. Thank you.
When your apples filled with wasps. That was early on. Did I get that right? Which poem was that from, Jenny?
Hem of Fire.
Uh-huh. Very nice. Thank you. So up next is, let's see. Wait a minute. I jumped over some people. How did I do that? Cheryl, you haven't read yet, have you? Cheryl Clark Vermeulen. Sorry about that. Cheryl Clark Vermeulen is up next. And remember to unmute yourself. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm going to read 4 poems from a collection that's coming out in the fall. Thank God. It's called They Can Take It Out. This first one's called The Almost. I need to make another decision about you, body. Your endorphins are a charade, your symptoms a meandering poppycock. Your nerves a tangle of pains here, now there, the onlookers ask me to explain. When you're not screaming, you may be at an 8. I name you rivulet and throw in some stones, no Argo will take hold, 911 for an ambulance. When the gurney arrives, it is one big maxi pad that may sop up my blood. In the ER, the physicians explain to a man one bed over that he will get his last foot amputated. Hearing their broken Spanish, more mangled than not, I cannot muster enough energy to yell that he deserves an interpreter. My husband and I cuss and whisper, and my stretcher gets rolled by without my infant protest. Another one called The Almost. If and in soured, this yolk sack, a bunk settler, an ultrasonic blur, a spark subsidiary, I am a spore of disbelief, tongue out, tipsy on ether, gathering how and when its shores to wash away each morning a slot filled with ancillary forms, all of them I've signed. Risks to my liver, which brings me to the pancreas that at death will entirely consume itself, overrun with organisms. And by gases alone, I hear the pregnant dead can't give birth. This one is called Brainchild. I am recording my delights. Museum visitors who flip through a newspaper of garden plant taxonomies, oxblood, blue-eyed, etymologies of scavengers. Their heads dip below the spread of the broadsheets prevailing in these small encounters. The sweet symmetry of their hands, tubular prongs, their arms, their legs. I go on trumpeting the fistular. The female reproductive organs resemble Pippi Longstocking. Her bilateral braids, the fallopian tubes, her face, then a uterus, so be it. She is the strongest girl in the world, gets compared to Superman, so be it. Her anger is reserved for the unjust, and she stands for the new world order. She asks you to call her Pipolota Delicatessa, window shade, Macramel Wint, Ephraim's daughter, Longstocking. Lost her mother early. You see, the anatomist Gabriel Fallopio named parts of her and me Pippi says, let's name ourselves. It'll be smooth going. She says, reproduction takes many forms. She says that Astrid Lindgren is the woman who made her, who also has an asteroid named after her, Asteroid Lindgren. Lindgren, I want to get that last name right. Flung, last one. Found a doll with a mess of dried reeds in her hair, her clothing torn, the sea's discard ashore, later chewed by dogs, an interbeing baby. Prop it up to ride an old typewriter's fast spacer, twisted into an agile horse near the hiss of bleeding radiators, valves opened incrementally. Beauty is too easy, Cornelia Parker said. The doll's feet are gone. The legs nod, reveal the blush pink inside. Damn right, give her space. Thank you.
So thank you, Cheryl. You said cuss and whisper. I suppose that happens a lot in human activity, but I've never heard anything quite so wonderfully oppositional in a poem before. That was terrific. Thank you. All right. Up next is Jim Dunn. Remember to unmute yourself, Jim?
I am unmuted. Thank you. These three poems are written at the chasm, Braves Chasm, where I fish every Saturday and Sunday. Fishing at the mouth of a chasm, casting a prayer into the sea, standing upon the bare knuckles of the holy coast. The sea breathes around me, whispering her glorious secrets. There's ruthless danger in beauty, and there's ruthless beauty in danger. I catch a blessing in the foamy tide and throw it back into the sea. The sun cracks open the sky, and we're all doomed in the daylight. Between the full moon and the rising sun, caught upon the rocks, a slippery place, between the living moment and the dead dream. There lies behind me the nocturnal soul of night's engine, orchestrating the dance and the music of the endless sea. Ahead, the gulls bring news of the coming light. The clouds are set aflame from underneath by the slightest touch of the fiery fingertips of the praying pointed hands of a new day. First, a blinking eye, then the blazing face of ecstasy. Behind me, the moon lowers its hollow shell upon the trees lined against the sky. The clouds are fields of rolling joy from which rises the royal white chariot, led by glorious horses frozen in mid-gallop, heroically stoic in their conquering charge over immense distances. The copper shimmer of the wet rock shines between what is left of night and what is to become of the day, bathed in new light, dressed in wild white flowers of the clouds, the foamy sea throwing her bouquet against the silent rocks, standing fast between the full moon and the rising sun. Ghoster Mass. Granite glistens in the golden glaze of receding tide. These rocks are slick reminders of how easy it all slips away. They are unmoved by daytime and drama of the pleading sea, pleading to see the specters dressed in the morning garb of birds in flight, standing and praying, some swooping and cursing. Dip, dive, and pedal your desire for want of a better word, for want of a bitter sword. The cut cuts both ways. Why cross out when you can cross over? There are myriad of mirrors. Pick your reflection carefully, left-handed, left-holding, right-minded, right here. They are the mist, the steam, the haze. They are the sea spray, the rain remnant, the dew. They are condensation, the beads of sweat, the tears. St. Peter's feast of the fiesta, fisher of men, clamor of souls. Statues are crying, buildings are confused. Carry your patron saint under your eyelids to flash a sign of the cross when you roll your eyes. West meets east in the middle of the harbor. Paint factory, pain points, abandoned boats, abandoned hopes. There's nothing worse than seeing nothing there, but swearing that nothing you saw is a lighthouse of memories, lit up with the rotating eye of blinking experience. Ghoster Mass harbors ghost ships, invisible deckhands, and men reduced to a name on their minds floating like a golden thought of forgiveness to a deserving beach crowd watching the whale. And this is for my dog who died recently, my guardian of my soul, Coco. Wrinkles exist in the fabric of time, a time to say goodbye, but the wrinkle in time makes eternity itch. You can't measure a tear born of grief until it rolls like a crystal ball and tells you the future wrinkles in the fabric of time. In that wrinkled coat of invisible dreams, Coco runs with glee, resting easy beside the unending stream of the divine devotion, where he bends down to drink from the rushing waters of always right here by my side. And my last poem is for Aldo Tambolini, a very dear friend who passed recently too, a great poet and great artist. Aldo's eyes, they were cat-like in their sunflower focus, receiving light, radiating heat. He had no time to dally. He was bombed as a child, but by his motherland, liberty torched his freedom. The shoe dropped on the other foot in the grave. He was one of the Buffalo Soldiers who saved him. He would always fight for their freedom from oppression because he felt the weight of history in his neck of the woods, where the bodies pile up and mountains lay down. The clouds are absurd, dropping trousers to expose the truth, which ain't that pretty at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So, Jim, granite glistens in the golden glaze of the incoming or outgoing tide?
Receding.
Receding tide. That reminds me of Olson's golden Venetian light behind Agamenticus' head.
Oh,
Did Olson ever write about Rafe's Chasm? Do you know?
you know, there's only one reference in the one reference in the Maximus poems, and it's really not anything of note. He mentions it, but he doesn't really talk about it. And I think about him a lot. A lot of Olsonic thoughts when I'm up there. So,
Good. Well, thank you.
no, thank you.
All right. Martha is up next. Martha McCullough. Martha, please unmute yourself. Go ahead, Martha.
Okay. I've been writing some science adjacent poems recently. This is called Many Worlds Theory. In the garden, the ranunculus you pick or don't pick doubles its twisty green curl and soft rosette. There are so many better versions of you, prettier, took care of their nails, wore sunblock, smarter, angelic even, and also a flip book of monsters. One or more are eaten by a bear or bears. One is a forger. One loves a good conspiracy. Each is a leaf shivering on the tree of yourself, as many as the grains of sand along as many Ganges as there are grains of sand along. Sorry, I meant to say, a complex rose of alt.U's exiled in the instant of becoming, all giddy from the long fall of double and vanish. Behind you. Light doesn't tire, fall in a weary arc, rattle like lost keys on the floor of space. It just goes straight on, then it bangs into something. Starlight, you came so far to be swallowed by my black dress. Stitched to invisibility, the dark behind you is the lightless past. If time is a dimension like space, is everything still here somewhere? I can say the words sand, wavelet, soft chill, but I've lost the hour of waiting in the lake's margin. I can still hear my grandmother, though, saying I might be pretty someday. Oh, slings, oh, arrows, where, when is the golden age? Under the green lichen branches of the maple tree and the drift of pollen on the table, before we were born, or now, but elsewhere. This might be the age of suffering. For animals, hell. The gods are fighting the demigods who want their infinity pools and vanity rocket ships. They're excellent plastic surgeons. Everything real at once. That's how it is. For a while after I moved to Amherst, I was looking for a job, which didn't really work out that well, but I wrote this poem. Distinguished washerwoman. Why not apply for a post as a ballroom dance instructor? To flutter in tall shoes, chanting 1, 2, 3, step 2, 3, correcting the wayward feet of men who come up to my collarbone, men who will stamp on my feet on purpose, I feel certain. No, I'm more a desk person, really, a typing in bed person, given a choice. I've sent you 5 bullet points about why I'm swell. So call when you need a passionate rock star to manually feed laundry into machines, to curate your virus collection, to be a customer facing memento mori manning busy front desk. I was born for that. This is the last one. It's called Speed of Words. Slow, sewing, mysterioso goings on, disturbance in the ether, light like, cold, feathering, ghost hand, flicking thin pages, show through equals double the story, fanned for the illusion of movement, a thought reaches escape velocity, poof, gone, leaving velvety limp in your palm, one leaf from the invisible forest, sign of what? Thank you.
All right, Martha, you said all giddy from the long fall of something and vanish. What was the other part of that?
Double and vanish.
Double and vanish. That was quite wonderful. I see that Jean-Denis Joachim has arrived. Jean-Denis, are you ready to read, or do you need a little time to orient yourself?
I listen to one more, two more.
Okay.
I can listen.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
So up next is Philip Hasoris. Philip, are you ready to go? Remember to unmute yourself. There you go.
You good?
Yep.
Hey, Thomas. It's been a long time.
It has indeed.
There. I feel better. My life is a shit show. I'm trying to keep my head above water. It's lukewarm, like my personality. Anyway, that's what they tell me. I can't stand to be with myself and wonder who is going to save me. And the chorus repeats, this musical tragedy written in invisible ink. I am looking forward to tomorrow because the past is the past, and today is no present. I want to escape. I need the separation. Now I have these thoughts. I try to hold them down. It's like a volcano suppressing a ruptured membrane. This cell sense encasing me, protecting me from the outside. I'm a mime trapped within myself. My subconscious is trying to push me out. I'm on the porch listening to the obscure sounds of life. I notice the sun and moon are sharing the sky and wonder if they're dating. Back inside, there's 3 days of mail on the back of the toilet. I figure I'm either going to get pissed off or be up Schitt's Creek. I shuffle the envelopes, pick two, blackjack. The dim lights of my mind are meshing with the glare of the TV. I'm getting aggravated. The commercials are 2.5 times louder. Desperate, I point my remote control laser. I need to kill these sound waves. And then it hits me. Although physically here, I don't know my goddamn name. And I just stop there, drinking in the tiger's blood. I felt my heart beating me up. And then this calm voice, it came so simply. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. Charlie Sheen. What an idiot. There, I feel better. 2 short poems. This is called Letters. First, there are letters. Then came words, turned into stanzas that I stood upon, bared my nakedness, eventually opening a new beginning. And finger letters. My fingers discover new words, lie on your glossy skin, new glossary, find X, discover Y, spot G, come to the end. O, 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 breathe out, begin to scribble. You whisper E, Z. And for my last one, Critical recognition. I am the cat stretching, the bear emerging from hibernation, the snake shedding its skin, slowly, deliberately. I am the changing seasons, the sleepy winter ushering the warm tears of spring, the summer solstice elongating, sun radiant in its illumination of earth, sun and the moon share the sky, my phases of reflecting light. I am the salmon swimming back to origin, the bird homing to womb of nest, migrating, circling, back to familiarity, past the danger. The emperor penguin, exhausted, his perilous passage. I call out to you, critical recognition. I am the baby stirring, the child awakening, the adolescent developing, the adult enlightened, the mature that exists, has existed, will exist. I am a very small drop in the liquid universe, rippling. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that was exactly 5 minutes. What an impressive timing. Jeez. I say this in the spirit of admiration. When I hear a line, a volcano suppressing a ruptured membrane, I think poetry readers should get combat pay. Anyway, thank you, Philip. That was wonderful. All right, Jean-Denis Joachim is up next. Jean-Denis, go ahead. Unmute yourself, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I am honored again to be part of this wonderful festival. And with permission, I would like to dedicate the poem I'll read today to Haiti. And this is just to say that this country will rise up again and takes its place in history. And the poem is called On the Other Side of Happiness. De l'autre côté du bonheur. On the other side of happiness. On the other side of happiness, there is a land and its people born in adversity. A story torn by treason. They are the gods who have fled from too many prayers. There is nature, sweet and wild at the same time. The sun that dries up, that land that drinks its own blood. The stars that are getting further and further away. The moon that wobbles. There was a woman and her loves. Her husband who thinks he is God and challenges the future. They are the children who grew up too fast and collide with the burden of life. On the other side of happiness, words lose their true meanings. They are all these roads I had. They are still the people forgetting themselves in the time that passes. There is reason that lost its face. There is friendship that is tied up. Decorum is stabbed. There is that much we think we know and all that we ignore. On the other side of happiness, death goes unmasked. Life is aborted. There is love enslaved. Joy is stymied. There are so many hands that never touch each other. On the other side of happiness, everything goes the wrong way. The way is strewn with regrets. On the other side of happiness, there is hope. There is hope. And allow me to read it in French for the people back home listening. De l'autre côté du bonheur, De l'autre côté du bonheur, il y a une terre et son peuple né dans le malheur. Une histoire ravagée de trahison. Il y a les dieux qui ont pris la fuite devant trop de prières. Il y a la nature douce et sauvage à la fois. Le soleil qui assèche et cette terre qui boit son sang. Les étoiles qui de plus en plus s'éloignent, la lune qui vacille. Il y a une femme et ses amours, son mari qui se croit Dieu et défie l'avenir. Il y a les enfants qui grandissent trop vite et se heurtent sous le poids de la vie. De l'autre côté du bonheur, les mots perdent leur vrai sens. Il y a tous ces chemins qui attendent. Il y a encore ce peuple qui s'oublie dans le temps qui passe. Il y a la raison qui a perdu son visage. Il y a l'amitié qui est ligotée, la bienséance poignardée. Il y a ce peu qu'on croit savoir et tout ce qu'on ignore. De l'autre côté du bonheur, la mort va sans masque. La vie est avortée. Il y a l'amour qui est asservi. La joie est contrariée. Il y a tant de mains qui jamais ne se touchent. De l'autre côté du bonheur, tout va à contresens. La voie est parsemée de regrets. De l'autre côté du bonheur, il y a l'espoir. Il y a l'espoir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Une histoire ravagée de trahison.
Ouais.
The story torn by treason, right?
Yes, that is the that's the
very
place. That's the story of the place, unfortunately.
Yeah, very powerful line. Thank you very much, Jean-Denis.
Thank
And
you.
beautiful, absolutely beautiful to hear it read in French. Did
Thank
you
you.
write it in French and translate it into English, or write it in English?
At this point, it's so hard to remember. You know,
Okay.
it's so I can't remember if this one was English first or French. I can't remember.
All right. That was
Thank
beautiful.
you.
All right. Well,
Merci.
our last poet of the evening, I'm pretty sure we got to everybody else, is Shira Dents. Shira, unmute yourself and go ahead, please.
Thank you. Thank you to all my fellow readers for your language art, and thank you to the organizers of this marathon reading, and thank you to all the listeners. Okay, first poem I'm going to read is titled July 11th. Today's rainier day, a call out to the yellow cherry with rosy hues. I want to live in the blue shades spackled on this painting for sky. A noir-colored moth with petal-like wings flies inside, crushed. Suckle nothing here. It's late afternoon, meaning anything hard to do has gotten harder. Following one's being is nature, Whitman said. It's a kindness to be able to catch broken lines of rain in time. And this is Late Air. A black crystal dives like a bird, trees wagging leaves like sleeves, ranking puzzle pieces in the middle rainbow, oscillating dice cast interpretations. The world is setting close and narrow, without enough quiet, as in private. Summer moons fly with the bait, rootless as money. Oh, I mean honey in hives. And this is Arrays that has two parts. Arrays after Denise Levertov. I load up on lines, but can't find words on any of them. So I load up on single bird notes that haven't yet loaded into view. Shadows script across a field of light. First text was code on Earthstone. Still, loads of words missing. Little by little, one comes to know the limits and depths of power. After Jean Valentine, birds have up power. Light on stone loads little codes. And this poem is titled Wolf Shadow. They say we went out on a limb, rustling more than flame between cracks, heat packs. Moonlight hides, someone wrote, as if the truth shows itself once a month on schedule. The same goes for the entire secret. They say shadows are clues, nothing more. They say shadows are clues, nothing more. The same goes for the entire secret. On schedule, as if the truth shows itself once a month, moonlight hides, someone wrote. Between cracks, heat packs, rustling more than flame. They say we went out on a limb. And my last poem is Hyrax Syntax. How do you know tusk from tooth? My centers and aurora swelling. My eyes are rinds of eyes, like children who've kicked a ball too many times, you know, or kittens jumping and falling off ledges that aren't ledges. I know where rivers held back for fear, light will crack our bottoms out. Oh, Aurora, I see centers everywhere, and crescents too, multiplying bubbles within which every sense fractures concave and convex. Thank you very much.
So I think one of your first poems you wrote, it's a kindness to catch broken lines of rain in time. Did I get that right? Very beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for a really extraordinary 47 minutes worth of poetry. It was a real treat to hear all of you, and thank you especially for staying within the time limit. I didn't have to discipline anybody or cut anybody off. So you're a wonderful group of readers. I want to say to those of you who are reading today and also those of you who are listening that there's one more section of the Boston Poetry Marathon, and this is the very last, the grand finale. It starts at 8 o'clock or thereabouts, and it includes Philip Marinovich, Mitch Highfill, what a great name that is, Ruby Polterock, Christina Xtina Strong, John Mulrooney, Marianne Shanine, Jennifer Markell, Zachary Boss, Michael Peters, and Kristen Garth. I don't know all those poets, but the ones I know are quite wonderful. So I hope you will stick around and go to Facebook and or Twitter or to YouTube. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, put down or say something, comment on something. Poets appreciate your response. Thanks again to Suzanne Mercury, who did an absolutely bang-up job of being the technical host and also organizing this event. And thanks again to Bridget Eileen. You would not believe how much work Bridget Eileen has put into this. To Christina Liu and to Xtina Strong. And everybody unmute yourself now, and we'll give each other, we'll give you all a nice round of applause. So unmute yourself.
We're on gallery view now, so whee!
Yay, everyone.
All right, Jim Dunn, don't go without me telling you a joke about Grace Chasm. So, but we'll do that offline.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
You guys.
I'm ending the streaming now, okay? Here we go,
Okay.
guys. Oops.